Is the bull market back for real this time? Will Bitcoin stay above 60K and move towards that $64,000, $67,000 level? Or is this a potential bull trap, which would take us back to the $57,000 to $58,000? One person is saying, hold up, wait a minute, I got a little more buying to do. Who is that person? I'm sure you can guess. We'll talk about that. We're also going to take a look at some big news from top altcoins like Cardano, Sui. We also have big news from Hedera, from Chainlink. Are any of these four coins worth a look at right now to purchase and add to your portfolio? We're going to have Magic and Money joining us to break down the chart. I'm going to ask him, hey, does this rally, is it different than the last few rallies we had to break above 60K only to come back down below? We'll have that conversation and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto, home of the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take old, boring, and stale price action and package it up in a fun breakout 61K kind of way. Oh, man, you know, yeah, it was only a few short 24 hours ago that we were here, and, you know, I was talking about it. I'm like, hey, there's an impending breakout here. We've been consolidating, hey,
you've never
we went from
said that
57
before. Never
to
said that
58, and we're feeling the breakout, and you were like, the breakout, and you were just hating on me, bro. I'm just
hating.
yes, hate. And so, we
not
find
hating on
ourselves in a peculiar situation. I got to give you credit where credit's due because you've been beating this phantom drum for a week, and I have not at all questioned it. I've just been curiously looking on the sidelines. I'm like, you're really going hard on this phantom call. Like, you've had charts up for the last week. You've been going hard on it, and me, I'm kind of like watching. Just curiosity. I'm like, everything's pretty valid. I like to push back on you, and I'm like, everything's pretty valid there. So, I like to see where that goes, and to no surprise, Phantom massive movement in the last 24 hours. Got a Phantom video coming out today as well. So for my Phantom fans or people that just want to know a little bit more about it, make sure you please go check out that video as soon as this live show is over, and as soon as it's posted, it should be about an hour after the live show's over. But it just goes to show you there's a couple things happening, right? There's Bitcoin breaking above 60K. Sure, in our little crypto ecosystem, we're over here clapping our hands and being all excited that Bitcoin's back to 60K. Been there since February. But anyways, but I will say this: you got the Fed rate cuts coming tomorrow. Now, very interesting because what we've seen before is damn near certainty on what the hell the Fed was going to do. We haven't had think about this. We haven't had a Fed rate cut for, I think it was like 5 years is the last time we had one, right? And
it's been a while, yeah.
Yeah. So, we haven't had a rate cut in quite some time. And we've speculated, when is that day? Because the day's coming in, and then just to put the cherry on top, put a little whipped cream on there, throw some sprinkles, and maybe even a sparkler on top.
Sparkler.
Yeah, sparkler. Those candles that
I know what you're talking about.
Anyway, but is the fact that we don't know how much they're going to cut. And so the uncertainty has got the markets just really in an uproar. And so people are just questioning. They're like, where is this going? And so, here's an example here. You have per Bitcoin Magazine, this post here. That one wasn't the one I was looking for. Damn it. All right. Anyways, we don't know what direction the market's going as far as or the rate cuts are going. So we don't know what is going to happen with the markets. But I did want to show you here on the S&P 500, though. So S&P 500 breaking all-time highs. And so...
And you think the Fed's going to cut 75? There's no way.
I don't know. I'm just looking here. So, I'm just looking at history here. So over on the 1 year chart, S&P 500, we're right at the same price we were before, all-time highs, back in July. And then, we sold down a little bit, came back in August, And yet here we are again, breaking all-time highs. So, I think that this is a stronger signal to the markets that we are entering into a phase of the market where the recession's behind us. I mean, here, let me ask you a question.
You think the recession's behind us?
I mean, what is? I know that the measure of recession is GDP. Two consecutive, quarters negative. But I mean,
But that happened back in.
Here's my question. Don't you consider the stock market and U.S. based companies and their valuation and where their stock price is? Don't you think that is realistically the best measure of the economy?
Well, there's other metrics to look at.
Oh yeah, and that's why I said there's GDP. There's a host of things, but at the end of the day, what represents the economy? It's U.S. based companies, right?
And the consumer.
Yeah, but the consumer, if they're spending, then profits go up.
That's why when companies like Starbucks and when their their share price starts to go down.
So I just sometimes I just like to take the complexity out of it and just say, hey, if the S&P 500 is breaking all time highs, how on God's earth are we in a recession? I know you could push back, but I'm just saying, in the most simplest form, if you can't sit here and say, hey, I am about to file for bankruptcy, but I'm making the most money I've ever made in my life, right? If I'm an individual in my job, I just got a raise. I'm making 5 times what I made a couple years ago. My home price is way up. Everything is up in the green. But you know what I mean? Like that, for me, the measure of the economy is the S&P 500. And I know there's more to it, but I just say, look, we're in a 4-year cycle when it comes to Bitcoin. We are post-halving. We have seen already a new all-time high. And the only real downside I've heard about Bitcoin not breaking all-time highs is the economy, right? Is there any other reason outside of a recession can you make? What argument can you make that Bitcoin is going to fail to launch a bull market other than recession?
Well, I mean, kind of tied to recession is the retail investor, right? The average person.
No, I'm just saying, and there's no recession. S&P 500. Let's just say the S&P 500.
Well, there could be no recession, but people could be struggling, right? Credit card delinquencies are up. But one thing I do want to note, one of the long tail effects of a Fed rate cut is financing becomes cheaper. So think about all the people, the housing prices have continued to go up. Think about all the people that now have all that liquidity available. And when the interest rates go down, maybe now at 8%, they don't want to open up a line of credit or refinance their home. But maybe at 5%, they will. Maybe at 4.5%, they will. What about all the people that bought a house at 6%, 7%, 8% interest? They'll definitely refinance. And guess what? If their value accrued in their home, they're going to take out cash. And where are they going to deploy that cash? Could they pay off their credit cards? Sure. Are they going to probably spend some money on, I don't know, whatever it is, their daily living expenses? But then they're going to look to deploy that capital somewhere for them to earn more capital. And I think crypto will be at the forefront. So
yeah, I can't see a scenario where if the S&P 500 keeps breaking all-time highs, that Bitcoin won't continue the bull market. That's basically my thesis, is that we're in a channel that in Bitcoin's price, we know that there's an expected breakout, right? At some point, Bitcoin's either going to move up or down. And I just can't see a scenario where the S&P 500 keeps making new all-time highs a quarter after quarter or month after month, and Bitcoin gets left behind. I can't figure that out. Like it just doesn't, there's no way that happens. There's no way. Let's just say S&P 500 is up 25%, right? Which is massive over the course of 6 months, which is something that we saw before. We saw in 2021. We've seen it in 2008.
By the way, just so people understand, 25% might not seem like a lot to us, but 25% move in the S&P 500 is a gain of $11 trillion in value.
And so if you see that, which we've seen multiple times before in the bull markets of past for the broader markets, if we see that, I cannot think of any scenario where Bitcoin doesn't follow maybe it's not as dramatic. Maybe we only get to 180K on Bitcoin, maybe, which is a 3x from where it is now. But I look at days like today with the Fed cuts coming tomorrow, plus the S&P 500 back on track, the U.S. economy back on track. And I'm just very, very bullish. And altcoins are ripping. And that's why today we're going to give you some of our favorite altcoin picks as well.
You know, in honor of the football season starting, did you see the new Denver Broncos running back? Oh, it's Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor, he posted this on X with the title, Running Bitcoin. And well, he's running straight for the bank as MicroStrategy targets another $700 million in fresh convertible notes. Take a guess at what they're going to use that money raised to do. I'm pretty sure you can already guess. But if just in case you have no idea who Michael Saylor is or what he does with the money he raises, he will be proceeding to buy more Bitcoin. And so this dude is crazy, bro. And then we have this as well. In honor of Token 2049 that is currently happening in Singapore right now. Singapore's biggest bank, DBS, to offer OTC Bitcoin options trading for institutional clients in Q4. Now, this is not really going to have at least I don't think, it's going to have a direct effect on the price because it is over the counter. But these investors, these institutional investors can get a little taste of some Bitcoin gains. And who knows what they might do afterward? Could they adopt a Michael Saylor-like Bitcoin strategy? Potentially, yes. And then I want to share this, and then we'll bring Magic on. This was Donald Trump on a crypto native X Spaces hosted by Farouk. And he's talking about crypto. Let's take a listen here.
I think you're onto something. You're onto it a lot sooner than most people. You know, it's sort of like it's a fledgling business, and yet it's a massive business, but it has a chance to really be something special. And when I do things, I notice a lot of crypto comes in. People pay with crypto.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't see that even a year ago, 2 years ago. So I think it's really, it's big, and yet it's a fledgling compared to what it will be.
It's a fledgling compared to what it will be.
Yeah. And then the one I actually gave you all a little sneak peek to earlier, a little article I was getting to, you got crypto spending in 2024 election hits 190 million, led by the Winklevoss twins.
The Winklevi.
And so, you know, no surprise that presidential candidate Donald Trump is very adamant, and also his DeFi platform went live. I know they haven't issued the token. I think it is. I don't know the details of it, but I know it's operational.
It's funny. The token is only going to be available to accredited investors, and people are like, dude, crypto's not that. Like, we're trying to, that's what we're trying to fight against, right?
You know,
is the shielded off. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that, whatever. But it's a free economy. Do as you please. Who cares?
I did want to just give a quick love to the chat. If you are new here, say hello. We'd love to give you a little shout out. We got a few new faces. We got Jeff, Frosty Peas, Gizm, Foxfire 420, Green Giant, Trevor W, Jedi, Jason, DGen Friend, and then also Jimmy Bitcoin, $5 super chat said Rob Stradamus staying bullish. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
Also, hola to our friend Magic Internet Money, who joins us every Tuesday. And well, today is Tuesday. Magic, welcome back. How you doing, brother?
What's going on, guys? I missed part of that Trump thing, so I was kind of like, that was interesting. I didn't realize he was on a Spaces talking.
Yeah, for like 2.5 hours. They met down there in Mar-a-Lago, and talking about how it's a fledgling business, but it's pretty just the best in the world. Anyways, you know, it's crazy. He's got so many pro crypto guys around him now, including Vivek, including RFK, of course. RFK was really the only candidate that truly, you could tell he understood it. He laid out a game plan. It wasn't just talking points and buzzwords of, we're going to buy Bitcoin. No, it's like, here's what it can do. Here's what we plan on doing. And here's how we expect those to play out.
Doesn't JD Vance have
yes,
like venture capitalist experience as well?
He does, and he personally owns Bitcoin as well. I think $250,000 of Bitcoin.
He's also been found on multiple, I think it was like lectures. I don't exactly know if it was a private lecture, but there's multiple videos of him out there discussing blockchain.
Doing like a Gary Gensler, except hopefully it doesn't turn.
Yeah, I don't know if it was educational or if he was just kind of having like a meetup or some kind.
Maybe he was having a home poker game and was like, "Hey guys, by the way, have you heard about our Lord and Savior?"
You know what? I'm gonna go find that video.
Okay,
you guys.
Anyways, Magic, I need to ask you a very important question, man. I think we're all have a little PTSD. Me, Robin, probably not you, because all you do is look at charts and trade all day. I don't have the time to do that. God bless you for doing it. But I'm
glad that's all you do, Magic.
No,
you just Magic is. I know. People. I have a life, but we know you don't.
That's not what I meant.
That's what you said.
I meant I have.
What you said.
Magic knows what I meant. Don't listen to him, Magic. He's trying to cause a rift.
Yeah.
We're bros, man. We're bros forever. Anyways, we got PTSD, bro. Is this rally? Does it look like it's going to sustain and continue going up, or are we just going to go back down to 58,000 again?
I'll be upfront with you. We were actually just talking about it a little bit in the Discord. There was quite a bit of fuckery over, excuse my language. There was some stuff going on over the weekend with some pretty large buyers and sellers. Quite a bit of open interest coming in and getting wiped off on several occasions. There were candles where normally when you get like a high open interest candle to the downside, you're thinking maybe just a few $1 million. We were seeing things like negative 17 million or negative 30 million. And this is on the weekend. So I didn't know what was going on. Then you'd see positive 17 million coming in, all in this very small range. So I was like, maybe this is an arrow on exo charts. And then today, buying has just been through the roof. So open interest is up. There are a lot of people buying. The only time that becomes an issue is if they get put underwater. So for now, bulls are in control. They're well back in the range. And to me, if you saw 58K again, I don't know that I would consider it a gift. I would consider that more of a warning sign. So I would favor continuation over a pullback at this point, if I'm being upfront.
One thing I want to add, Magic, is I saw an article. There's a lot of sell orders between 61.5 and 62.5. Are you seeing anything on any of these metrics?
I mean,
that
you kind of want to see why?
Yeah, please. Please.
I don't follow. I don't sell. I don't do anything with buy or sell orders in terms of like limits. I don't pay too much attention to them unless I can read them through, like pick them up over delta spreads. Okay. After that, I put more weight on them because they can just be pulled in advance. So it's not, to me, it's not as valid at that point. But that said, when you're looking at the quarterly, okay, so quarterly is a really important chart. This is something we're going to go over tonight in the group, but we'll go ahead and do it as well here. Take away the wicks. All right. So when you said 62.5 and 61.5, this is your last quarterly close essentially, right? And your quarterly open. So you're trying to flip a 3-month candle green in the last month of that push. So for me, it is a big level. It should be expected to be defended. You'll see these things often where when you start to see these highs come in and the quarters start closing like this, that's when you're kind of, things are not looking as good. So it would be in Bitcoin's best interest to, yes, claim that region. But, going back on what we talked about last week, just from a generic charting standpoint, this was going to be the area that we were most interested in. We had a nice box right here that we're now trying to push through. So it is one of those things where, again, range low is here. Your gold pocket was here. If we went off of the levels that we've covered on your channel from basically the beginning of the year, these are levels that we put forth that should be good through the year of 2024, and we'll have new ones for 2025. But you're just looking for the rotation from the +4 deviation to the 5th standard deviation, right? And so that's what you've got. And if you hold on to this box, the next thing to expect is 65K. So yeah, 62.5 is going to be an area of interest. It's an old monthly level as well. But realistically, the longer you live above 59, the better it is for Bitcoin, not to get too much into open interest and all that. So what we'll do is, this is what we're going to do tonight to a degree. It's just more in depth, is I'm going to remove the wicks and we'll talk about how, on the daily, we said this could be the potential for the higher low or the failure to go lower. Essentially, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but this could be the low that fails to continue this trend of lower lows, right? So now you're looking at a potential higher low. You need to see that confirm. Where does it start to confirm if you look at it on the daily? Well, above here, where we are, confirms that this is a low. Above here, though, would confirm that this is not only a low, we're going to make a higher high, which would imply a break to the upside. So when you cruise out in the time frames, you can start confirming this on the weekly as well. You can see that you've been making lower lows on the weekly. However, taking out this last weekly high would put you in a position to potentially make new weekly highs, which is what we all want to see if we want the bull market to continue. That's realistically it. So if you look at the monthly now, same thing, monthly open. We'll throw on the weekly open. I've just got it handy there. We can start to say below the monthly open and below the weekly open, that's realistically where you want to hold. You want to see bulls holding on to this, because if they do lose the monthly open, before the end of September, this looks like continuation of these monthly candles headed down. Just from a generic charting standpoint, that's all we're doing. We're just trying to get a good idea of where trend is and take out some of the noise. And the wicks are very useful as well. There's a lot of good volume data in there. Trust me, that's great. But sometimes it does help to just simplify things and look at it in the sense of say, okay, as long as we're above 59K, that's the level we've been talking about, 59.60. Great. Now, if we can come up here and start taking out some of these old closures and closing there, because people always say, what time frame do I need to see close above X level or at X level to take a trade? This is a great way to do that. Now you can go back and say, all right, yeah, if we closed a monthly candle above 64,990, things would look really good. Like it would look like we want to come all the way back to the top of our structure. There realistically is nothing here. When you look at this space, there's been no price action here since April. So there's not going to be a bunch of resistance above this level once you get there. You might run into a hiccup here around 67.5. It's the range point of control, but realistically, you'd be looking to cycle that and probably looking to see if we couldn't get a breakout, just given the context of everything. I think traditional markets are making new highs as well. I saw a very interesting breakdown from somebody. They were talking about, and I don't know where they got it, but they were talking about the correlation efficient of traditional markets and Bitcoin. And what they were saying is that Bitcoin sometimes lags behind traditional markets, and that when they do finally break all-time highs, Bitcoin tends to catch up in terms of coefficient, and they're highly correlated, and it actually runs very hard to speed that up. So it would imply that when the breakout comes, it may be later, even though traditional markets are trying to make new highs. If they do, Bitcoin could follow suit, which is good, because we're all looking for a bullish quarter four, and we've said that October is likely going to be based on seasonality, we would expect it to be a bullish month. So for me, my tune changes a little bit above these levels. And I told you that last week, that if we get above this box and hold it, you'll see me become quite bullish. And I'm bullish on October. We've hit the time pivot, which is today, the 17th of September. That's the pivot we're looking for. We've got a nice big green candle. If price failed to break down from here going into that pivot and we start reclaiming some key areas like here, I'm looking to see if bulls can continue that. And my bias now doesn't become, hey, this is going to remain range bound and the structure looks distributive. It looks more like, hey, this could be setting up for try to push for a new high. If it was the opposite and we had broken down, I would still be looking for the bounce going into that October seasonality. I just wouldn't be looking for an all-time high at that point. I'd be looking for a lower high. So hopefully that kind of paints some context of why I wanted to wait the weeks after this, because we said I wanted to wait 4 to 6 weeks when this happened. I said, I'm kind of up in the air, and it's realistically was waiting to see how this developed. And as of right now, if you made me like gun to my head, said pick a side.
Hey, Magic, real quick. Magic, sorry to interrupt you, but I don't know if you are meaning to not show your chart, but your chart's not on the screen.
Oh man, I think I clicked the button and forgot. But
that's okay.
Realistically, this is the area that if it is, holding, and we're going into October, I'm looking for new highs. If we had broke down from here going into this pivot and we were making new lows, I'm still looking for the bounce in October, guys. It's just not a new all-time high. Hopefully you can kind of see that just by looking at the chart period, how you would maybe come up with that type of a bias. Now, in terms of levels to the upside, again, that 6-month candle is going to be your best friend. We've talked about this multiple times. Going into this region, this is going to be the level. And that if we close the year positive and close it above 64,990, things look good for continuation. And then we ask, when will the cycle end? So, nobody truly knows that. There's some people that think the cycle would still end in quarter 4 of this year. And then there's the traditional cycle analysts that will say things like it's going to go into, I think it was like quarter 3 of 2025, which would be the 1-to-1. And that would be a third cycle of the exact same timing, which to me would seem odd. I don't think that we get that kind of a gift usually where the market is that obvious.
That's an interesting take. Magic, if I can ask you, what's your
Mhm.
end of the year price prediction for Bitcoin? I think we're all in agreement that October is going to be a good month for Bitcoin. Historically, it's been the
Yeah.
best performing month of the entire year. Only 2 months since 2013 has October Bitcoin closed lower than it opened in October. And so we also have going into Q4, we got $16 billion being paid back to the FTX creditors in stablecoin. Majority of that in stablecoin. They're not giving people back their crypto. They're giving them cash and or stablecoin. So we can assume maybe not all that money, but some of that money is going to find its way into the markets. We got the Fed rate cuts. We got one coming tomorrow. We'll probably have another one by the end of the year. What's your end of the year price prediction for BTC December 31st, 2024?
I don't have one for December 31st, but I have one for November. How about that?
Okay.
If
take
we
it.
break bullishly, I do have a plan for, bull and bear always, because we don't know what's going to happen. So you have to constantly be prepared for either scenario. You can't pretend to know. So in this case, what I'd be doing is looking for expansions and looking for common patterns that occur through Fibonacci confluence and would give us targets. In this case, I'm looking at this, which would be what's called a deep crab. You can go to harmonictrader.com. Scott Carney, he founded this program. He runs it on an algorithm. So his is very complex, but these do produce really good targets and trading opportunities. I'd be looking for something like this. And the timing would come out in about November. And how I got that timing is very similar to how I got XRP's completion and timing, and even the timing for when the lawsuit ended, which I didn't know that's when it was going to, but that's when the time pivot came in. You're looking just to measure the impulse here and then project it off of your new impulse that's going higher in that case, right? And so you're looking for a 161.8% projection and a 261.8 projection to line up. And so this is coming from X to A, meaning that if I took X down to A and put the expansion at 161.8%, that golden mean ratio, it would come up here at 86,000. If I took B to C and took the 261.8 projection to complete this pattern, you would get 85. We've talked a lot about $81,000, $82,000. So to me, I still look in that region. I'm still not looking up to those $100,000 valuations. Not a lot of people want to hear that, but I'd be looking somewhere in the 80s probably for the end of the year if it broke bullishly. If it breaks bearishly, I'm looking like 38, 40. But I don't think that's going to, I think it's more probable for seasonality and what's going on in traditional markets, quantitative easing coming in potentially to break higher. And I think that would be the more likely.
And Magic, you think this is going to happen in November? So what do you think is
that would be a completion in November? Yeah.
Completion. Okay.
The pattern would complete in November.
Can you see a scenario where in October, we open October around, let's call it 62,000. We run up to that 92, 93K level. And then in November, we pull back and settle into that 82 to 84. Or do you think October, maybe more steady gains, November steady gains, and then?
I think anything can happen. And, I have to be somewhat open to that. So I'll never say it can't happen. Now, if you said it was going to be 90K by the end of September, I might bat an eye, but that's,
you should bat a couple eyes.
That's all in good fun.
Go ahead. Bet those eyes, Magic. Bet those eyes.
But it's one of those things where nothing's really impossible when you talk about a chart that looks the way Bitcoin does, especially post halving and the buildup that's going into whatever the resolution of the structure is. So it's going to be a really interesting September and October. I'm very excited about it. I think there's going to be some really good trading opportunities. If you haven't already gotten in a trade, there's going to be some good ones. Really simple SR flips. Like, I'll show you before I jump off your show because I don't want to hog your airtime. I know you guys are on a crunch here, but we talked about the monthly and weekly open being the key levels. So even just coming into the weekly here, you have a new weekly open and monthly open. They don't always work out this way and this well, but in this instance, there we go. I didn't realize my face was on there. They don't always work out this well, but in this instance, you'll notice that they were key when we removed the wicks. We could tell these are going to be areas that need to be defended. This was actually a great area to look for shorts. You came down into some really key structural on the daily time frame. Also, there were some high time frame averages of price on a bi-weekly chart that we were looking for that were tagged almost to the dollar. You've then rallied and then back tested and simple SR flip. That's all it is. So From here, you're just watching this local price action. For anyone that is a day trader, we talk a lot of high time frame stuff here. Your key level right now that you're paying attention to, besides the weekly and monthly open, is going to be this previous week high at 60,659. After that, you can either stair step it down to the next weekly high, but realistically, I would start looking for the weekly open, monthly open again. I would not want to spend any amount of time below these levels. That's significant in my opinion. So to me, I'm looking at 60,659 as support. It was something that I actually took an intraday trade off of earlier, and you can see it's a nice back test. So again, the technical analysis is working just fine. The trading opportunities are there. So even if you missed, you can do anything you want in terms of finding a range. You can see that you've just got a nice range here. You're longing the low, looking to sell the highs. And then if it runs higher, just know where your next targets are going to be at. And some of that turns into a swing. But understand that below this level, you can see there's not much here. These are hollow candles and hollow price action. So a lot of these traders that have been FOMOing in up here, if continuation doesn't get had into these higher targets, they will turn into essentially juice for downside price action back to back test some of these supports.
And we know what happens when the
it.
juice gets loose. What was that? OJ Simpson, right?
It was OJ. Yeah. The white Bronco.
The white Bronco. The juice gets loose. Bad things happen. Don't let the juice get loose, Magic. We appreciate you as always, man. Real quick, one last thing before I let you go. We're halfway through the month. What are your probabilities of 90,000 in September? 5%?
I would say 5%.
Robin, where are you at? Just curious.
Let's move on.
Anyways, Magic, thank you so much. If you guys,
I'll send you guys a chart from T-Bone in the group. It'll give him hope. He's got it charted out the last 2 cycles that we should expect a new all-time high this week, and that would be the 3rd cycle in a row that it's been able to be predicted by his math. So it maybe Robin's on something, he doesn't even know it.
Yeah, I highly doubt it.
No, I know it.
Oh, he knows it. Yeah.
I know
He knows it real good.
It's just
You can't blame the man for not having confidence.
Becoming
you know?
less and less probable. I agree. as we move forward into the month, and we're still at 60K. I understand the time window is closing, but I still hold.
We appreciate your confidence.
I still hold confidence in a very, very strong performance over the next 2 weeks to finish out the month.
Okay.
So.
All right. Magic, thank you as always, my friend. Guys, if you enjoyed Magic Internet Money, we do have his Discord link pinned to the top of the comments. Go join the Discord. He talked about some great trade setups coming your way. And then maybe you can find some of those in the Discord from Crypto Hub. So Magic, as always, my friend, thank you very much. And we'll see you next week.
See you guys. Thank you.
Take care. Before we move forward, I do want to give a big thank you to today's channel sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by Legacy Network. Their Legacy Academy app has been absolutely amazingly off the chart successful. Over 200,000 downloads on both the Google Play Store and the Apple Store. Now you can earn their LGCT token inside the app as you learn and better yourself. There's different modules you can choose from. If you haven't downloaded the app, it's completely free. Do so. And then when you do that, leave them a review. And if you want to join their Telegram to stay up to date, the link is in the description of this video. I do want to shift to some altcoin news. Let's start with Sui. This is breaking from Torero Romero. Sui Network hits 20 million active accounts. As far as price action, Sui has been performing extremely well. Other big news, Circle has officially partnered with Sui, bringing their native USDC stablecoin to the Sui network. Very, very big. I'm pretty bullish on Sui. Tokenomics suck. Well, not the best, but hey, as long as the demand exceeds what the inflation rate is, I think there's definitely a chance to make money. It's got the new kid on the block narrative. It's a new token. It's not one of these dinosaur coins. So shout out to Sui. Couple of big news. And then something, I want to share this. Something's definitely happening right now on Phantom. It is pumping while others such as Bitcoin, ETH, and AVAX are not. Some people have asked, is this a bad time to get into Phantom? The one thing I will say is from a trading standpoint, if you're looking to just scalp profits, you never want to jump on a train that is going 100 miles an hour. You want to wait till it gets to its next stop. And while Phantom hasn't really gotten to its next stop, it is continuing to go up and to the right. But the long-term outlook on Phantom and Sonic is very, very good. I want to share this from ICP. Internet Computer is soaking up relentless and eye-popping growth right now. Remember, the World Computer Vision for 2014, ICP is currently doing 1.5 million ETH equivalent transactions per second, measured as virtual machine instructions executed. You can see here their blocks per second coming in at 58, 10,000 TPS, and their ETH equivalent transactions, which is what Dom was talking about. So ICP, man, these are all good projects. And then finally, this was interesting. Zilliqa is thrilled to announce a strategic partnership with Emergo to bridge the Zilliqa and Cardano ecosystems. Together, we're enhancing interoperability, liquidity, and governance, driving innovation in Web3 for users and developers across both platforms. You might have never heard of Zilliqa, but here are some stats and numbers. Currently, they have 600 nodes on their network with a cumulative value transaction on chain of 89 million. And they have about 4.8 million total number of addresses. And so I think it's ranked outside the top 150. I think the last time I looked, it was number 176. But Robin, you have these, what is it, 4 altcoins I shared? Anyone, what are the news that you're most bullish on or that you want to touch on?
Is it Zilliqa? What were the other threes? The other
ICP, Phantom, and then Sui. Sui got stablecoin, and Sui got new record.
I think that the Phantom is in a good spot because of its current market cap, and it's really just it really exploded last bull market. And so because it's catching a lot of interest currently, there's a lot of buzz around Phantom. We've been talking about it. Actually I have here was a video. This was 3 days ago. And you were talking about the
my first
chart.
one, and I'm going to keep showing this chart.
Yeah.
Is Phantom. And, I have some insider info that there are projects lining up to launch when the Sonic mainnet goes live.
Yeah.
And so 90% of fees going to developers, $120 million fund for
and so we're not just kind of hopping on this train at the last minute. We're not saying, hey, look, there's a breakout here. And so look, price went up. Let's talk about it. It's something that we had on the radar up until this point, and maybe we didn't talk about it, a year ago or the last 8 months, but we were talking about this about a week ago, and we don't need to identify we don't need to get into a project so early that it's completely bottomed out and it's at the very bottom of the chart. You know what? There's nothing wrong, and that was 9 days ago, and so. There's nothing wrong with waiting for sentiment to change, seeing a breakout and getting exposure. It's because you can make the case that probably over 100 cryptos have the potential and have everything and have the team and have the infrastructure and the roadmap. You can say that about 100 cryptos, right?
But
Easily.
I would argue about almost any of them.
Yeah. And so, if you get lost in the ecosystem or if you get lost in that community, echo chamber, right? You go in and you just hang out in the same community, and all you hear is your entire feed is nothing but bullish news about your favorite crypto. You're gonna and you don't expand outside of that, because here's the thing: even if your favorite crypto, even if ICP or Caspa or whatever it is, even if that ends up just playing out as expected and it just keeps getting new all-time highs, great. I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes they just don't play out like it's supposed to. Even, Bitcoin drew down 80% cycle after cycle, and money was lost. And there's always opportunity with other projects. So just keep an open mind, and just, I know, I look in the comment section, I try to reply to all the comments that we get. And it's just if it's not your coin, if it's not your project, then you just laugh about it and say how yours is the best thing on the fucking earth. And there's no way, any other project could even come close to it. And honestly, I'm the biggest Caspa fan. I don't know what else we got to do for Caspa, right? I have no idea what else we got to do to make it, to come across to you that we're 100% all in on Caspa. And then we do a video on something that's not Caspa, and it's just oh, Caspa's, it's nothing like Caspa. It's like, bro, calm the hell down, bro. And it's like going into the stock market and saying this is the greatest company on the freaking planet and just putting every single penny that you've ever earned in your life in only that and just talking crap about everything else. And so I encourage you, no matter how bullish you are on a project, just to look outside, evaluate where else there is to make money. Just say there is so much fucking money to be made in this market. There's so much money. And if you get stuck in one project because you think that's the greatest thing on the fucking planet, then wake the hell up, because there is millions of people making millions of dollars. There's new degens out here. There's new people in crypto that are coming in with $5,000-$10,000 and turning it into millions because they have the awareness to identify new projects. And that's what we're doing here. And I know Phantom is in the top 50. It's not like it's some small altcoin, but I'm just letting you know that pay attention to what's going on in the market. You see the sentiment change. You see a community all of a sudden picking up a token, then get the hell in on that thing, man. Get in and hop on the train. You don't need to be so early that you are at the very bottom when everything is completely bottomed out.
Well, you could be right. You could think, if you're whether it's ICP, Caspa, or anything, it could be the best project in the space, but that doesn't mean you can't make money elsewhere as well. That's the thing.
And the reality of it is Caspa, ICP, Cardano are all in the top 25. And so all of these have big ass market caps. So, realistically, I hate to break it to y'all. Realistically, you're not going to get more than the 20x out of any of those. Not in a small window. Yeah, you're not going to get it. And so a 10x is great. 100%. You put 10,000, but it ain't gonna be a retire, buy a new house, get a Lambo money. It's not.
In a year, it's not.
It's not. So, but that money is here. You can freaking get it, man. There's so much money coming out around here. And so, put your position in on your Bitcoin, on your Ethereum, on your Caspa, on your ICP. Put that there. Get comfortable, put what you want, allocate it, and then pay attention. This is the time, man. We're in the bull market. There's going to be so much damn money made. And if you just only stuck on the top 25 projects, you're going to miss out some massive gains. You're going to look back. Remember last bull market? We're like, bro, where did Solana come from? Where did Phantom come from? Where did, you had Decentraland, you had Cardano. There was so many freaking projects that just came out of nowhere. And if you would have just got any kind of somewhat early exposure, you would have crushed it. Polygon just absolutely came out of nowhere. If you would have hopped on Polygon, look at this all-time chart. 4 cents, no, half a penny, all the way up through 2020, got to 5 cents in 2021. You could have waited for it to go from half a penny to 5 cents and then just crushed it over $2. And that came out of nowhere. And the list goes on and on. You got Bonk. Helium, very strong performance last bull market. Algorand came out of nowhere last bull market. KuCoin token, even the exchange tokens just blew up. Quant, massive. And so there's going to be a new batch of millionaires made by a new batch of up-and-coming projects. Do not miss out on them. Otherwise, you're going to be kicking yourself in the ass, man. And you know what? You're going to be sitting here oh, I make money on Caspa. I make money on ICP, man. I'm sitting good. Congrats. But why not fucking change your life and change your financial situation permanently, not just for you, but for your friends and family, and take some damn risk. It's time, man. Pick these damn projects out. And I'm just telling you because I just sit in the comments and God forbid I talk about anything other than our favorite projects. And it's just look, I'm not trying to say you can watch the damn video and cool. I get it. You think Charles Hoskinson is a freaking poison to the earth. I get it. I don't know why, but if it ain't for you, then just keep it moving, man. But pay attention to what's going on because otherwise you're going to just be on the sidelines, bro.
Money doesn't care what you like or what you don't like. Money is equal opportunity employer. One more thing I want to talk about, another altcoin, is Hedera. Hedera unveils their new toolkit for on-chain asset tokenization. Hedera announced Monday it is launching its Asset Tokenization Studio, an open-source toolkit designed to streamline the issuance, management, and trading of tokenized bonds and equities on the Hedera network. The toolkit will help all asset details securely managed on-chain, reducing risk associated with off-chain management seen in the basic ERC 1400 standard, explained by Hedera. This is Dr. Sabrina Tajian, sounds like she's Armenian, head of the fintech and payments at HBAR, said, quote, by lowering the technical barriers to the tokenization of bonds and equities, along with the recording of their underlying data on Ledger, the Asset Tokenization Studio will contribute to the growth of Hedera's RWA ecosystem and facilitate the on-chain migration of capital markets with a focus on compliance. That's a big one for Hedera, is their focus on compliance because of, well, the people they deal with, these large corporations, in their governing council. The compliance is big. And so Hedera is another project. You take a look at where it is at on the market cap list.
Bro, that's another one, man. That's another one that textbook,
Number 43.
Textbook what we're talking about, bro. Is literally textbook what we're talking about. You have a project, sound fundamentals, roadmap, partnerships, giant names behind it, great team. And so this right here is exactly what we just saw out of Phantom is exactly what you want to see out of Hedera. Just kind of keep it on the radar. Say, look, like we like this. We like Hedera. When do I get in? When do I get in? And then once you start seeing the sentiment start to rally, get position, man. Once you see this thing pump up 10% all of a sudden in a week, it's time, man. Don't you agree? Or do you think, do you think you should just, because the thing is, I can make the argument for Hedera plus another like 40 tokens or 40 projects or coins that are in the same boat, right?
I think it's important to not just look at whether the price pump, but why did it pump, right? We take a look at something like Caspa. Well, why did the token pump? People were anticipating the KRC launch. Talk about something like Phantom. Why did the token pump? Well, technically from a chart perspective, it was breaking out of a downtrend. And we were waiting for that retest of the trend line, which it did. And it went up another 25-30%. You take a look at other projects like ICP. Why did ICP run up? Why did it go from like $6 something to over $9? Because of Bob.Fund, transactions were going up and cycles were being burned. And so I think it's a complement of multiple things. But yes, once you start seeing the sentiment change, once you start seeing, other things, and speaking of sentiment changing, this is one thing that a lot of people keep an eye on, you especially, because you're not the biggest pattern trader. We do have an indicator now where you can track sentiment, and it is our first ever indicator that we created in conjunction with LuxAlgo. It's called the Liquidity Flow Index, and you can see here the gray line measures sentiment. So is sentiment up? Is sentiment down? Is money flowing in? Is money flowing out? You can use tools like this to identify whether, hey, is this going to be something sustained, or is this just a flash in the pan? So these are all things we have to do. But again, guys, I know the markets have lulled a lot of people to sleep, right? Just bouncing between $50,000 and $60,000. Unless you're a day trader, unless you're a crypto face making $500,000 a trade, you probably put you to sleep. But this is the time to really knuckle down, because 2025, going into Q4 of this year, and 2025 is going to be a massive year. And the last thing you want to do is wake up, see Bitcoin at 85,000 and be like, oh, well, what can I get in now? What can I get in now? Everything's already moved 30, 40, 50, 10, 5, 6x. So at that point, you're adding on more risk versus paying attention now, deploying capital in a smart and efficient way, and, reaping the benefits on the back end. That'll do it for the show today. We have our Phantom video coming out in about 1 hour. Do not miss it. A lot of good stuff in there. Why is Phantom going to continue to rally? I share that in the video. And that's all I got. You got anything else?
Time to wake up. Let's make money. Bull market's here. I'm telling you. Like, don't fall asleep at the wheel.
Yeah. Also, I'm out of money. If anyone can provide me a loan, I will gladly pay you the LIBOR rate plus 20%. Anyways, thank you all so much. Rocco? A little too early, but that's okay. We'll work on it. That's okay. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you had an amazing time. It was a great show today. Come back tomorrow for an even better show. We love you guys. See you tomorrow. Peace.
Sin City, crypto. Everybody know what we here for. Entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin, it's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.